A man from Inglewood charged with a pair of dating app murders.
An Inglewood man is charged with murdering two men he met on a dating app, trying to kill.
The suspect, 34-year-old Rakim Prowl, was already on probation for a slew of residential burglaries.
Investigators say Prowell's first victim was Miguel Angel King. They met up on July 20th, 2021.
Today, 3 true stories of dating apps used as traps. 3 sinister individuals that manipulate another's desire for love and turn it into tragedy. Number 1. In Inglewood, a smile on a screen became a call to follow. 2 men didn't come home. A third ran with a car coming for him. The tool is a dating app. The bait was ordinary. The outcome wasn't. You already know the rhythm these apps teach. Quick replies mean interest. Nearby means possible. The map shrinks distance into convenience. The trick in this story is simple. Pull the meeting close to home. Close enough that the streets, the angles, the blind corners all belong to the person who asked you to come. The name on the account isn't public. The conversations aren't public. What we have are the places where the thread went silent, and the pieces the city left behind. The first night we can trace begins in late July 2021. A 51-year-old man named Miguel Angel King swipes, messages, agrees on a location. It's the most ordinary act in a lonely city. The next part is the one that never reads like a warning until it's too late. The drive to meet the person you think you've come to know. Later, in the paper trail, the details land like a hammer. A meeting through an app, a fatal shot, a car taken from the scene, King's, and let loose into Los Angeles until it was found more than a week later, several miles from the other man's home. The heat inside a sealed vehicle can't burn off everything. Forensic evidence from that car pointed back to the same direction the messages had gone. On August 14th, 2021, King's remains were found in the Los Angeles National Forest. The screen promised closeness. The mountains kept him. Imagine the turnout up there after midnight. Wind moving through the pines, a sky so big it eats sound. A trunk thuds and the noise doesn't carry. Somewhere below the road, a search team will one day kneel with gloves on and say a name out to mark the moment they've stopped looking and started knowing. None of that appears in a chat transcript, but it's the only way the chat makes sense. 2 years pass, and the method doesn't soften. It repeats. August 21st, 2023. Another match. Another pin on a map. This time the location is about a mile from the man's home, which on paper is nothing, and in practice is a radius of control. A mile is knowing which lots are dead, which alleys go nowhere, which cameras face the wrong way. 2 days later, 53-year-old Robert Gutierrez is reported missing. There is no body to claim. There's only the sound of a phone that doesn't pick up. When officers eventually open a certain garage, they find Gutierrez's car waiting where it shouldn't exist, and nothing else that should. The body has still not been found, but the car says enough. He came here, and he didn't leave under his own power. Missing is a word the living have to hold in their mouths. It sounds like hope and feels like torture. It turns a family's house into a station. Every lamp lit, the ringer up, someone tracing the last route on a laptop over and over like a prayer. What they want, what they never get, are the first messages. The opening line that felt safe. The picture that didn't trip an alarm. The small reassurance that waved them past their caution and into the wrong square mile of a very large city. The platform won't show the chat. The city shows the garage. The third meeting doesn't end in silence. February 22nd, 2025. Another match. Another plan set about 4 miles from the same home base. 4 miles is still familiar if you know the streets. It's far enough to look neutral to someone who doesn't. After the hello, the night tilts fast. Bindings. A wallet taken. A baseball bat rising and falling until the world shrinks to the size of a thought. Get out. The man breaks the rhythm and bolts into the door. For a second, space feels like safety. It isn't. The hunter has a second weapon. Horsepower. A vehicle gives chase. 2 tons of steel closes the distance the wind just gave back. The car hits him. His leg breaks in half. But he lives. He will always know the sound an engine makes when it has chosen you. That impact is the moment a pattern stops hiding. It's rage or panic or habit turning a robbery into a pursuit, a quiet method into a loud one. Neighbors hear it even if they can't name it. Sirens join a story that had, until then, been told mostly by empty rooms and abandoned cars. The survivor becomes the spine of a narrative the others can't tell. Later, he'll be asked to say words like bound and bat in a room that echoes. For now, he's proof the thread can be broken. Proof that sometimes the prey runs further than the plan. The outline, when you step back, is spare and cruel. Contact through a dating app. Meetings arranged close to home. 1 mile, 4 miles. The first man ends in the mountains. His car waits a week before it betrays the person who moved it. The second man vanishes. His car turns up in a garage where his name doesn't reach. The third is reduced to motion. Hands tied, a door, open air, the wrong set of headlights. Before he becomes a voice. The officer that laid the facts out publicly won't say the app's name. They don't have to. The design is the same in all of them. Nearby, quick, convenient. That is the funnel. There's a preface stitched into the story that makes the method feel like evolution rather than invention. Before these meetings, there were years of moving through other people's spaces. Burglaries across Beverly Hills and Los Angeles between 2019 and 2021. A record that turned into probation by the time the dating app cases came to light. Reports from that earlier spree described disguises. A wig, and even a skin tone mask used to mislead cameras and neighbors. That detail matters not because it's lurid, but because it shows practice. A person who is comfortable changing a lens's mind about his face is also comfortable changing a stranger's mind about his intent. A dating profile is just another mask that you help fasten when you choose to believe it. There's a part of the first case that keeps echoing. The week the car wandered the city before anyone opened its doors. That gap is a picture of someone counting on time to erase touch. It didn't. Cars are bad at forgetting. Dust in the vents, skin on the stitching, prints in the seams. Machines tell on the last hand that used them. When investigators finally pulled that story out of King's vehicle, it pointed the same way the chat had. One man reached out on a screen. Another answered. They met. One of them went to the mountains. The other made a mistake about what a car can keep. There's a part of the third case that doesn't need adjectives. Bindings, bat, flight, impact, broken bone. The escalation says as much as any timeline ever could. It says that the plan has been run enough times to have a second act ready. It says that when control slips, the next step is to press the gas. It says the quiet radius isn't the only territory the hunter owns. He also owns the split between a footstep and a hood, between a breath and a blow. That second is the only space a victim ever really gets. This time, it was enough to make it to daylight, and to carry the story to the microphones that would otherwise be introducing a third set of remains. If you look for a unifying monster here, it isn't a face, it's a feature. The word nearby. It takes a metropolis and folds it until strangers can touch. That's its purpose. It's not evil. It's efficient. But efficiency has an appetite. It feeds on hesitation. Cuts it out of the decision. The app offers to remove friction. A predator uses the smoothest to slide you into his geography. A curb where the lamps are dead. A corner where the cameras look away. A mile of streets he knows better than you do. He doesn't have to drag you here. He just has to sound calm. He just has to make you feel like it's your idea. The people who wrote the public statement about this case kept their language clinical. That's their job. They use phrases like predatory acts and total disregard of life. And they map the distances, the dates, the pieces you can point to. The forest, the garage, the broken leg. Behind those nouns are 3 different nights that start with the same sentence. The difference is where each one ends. Say Miguel Angel King. He was 51 the last time anyone ever heard from him. He agreed to meet someone he talked to on an app. He was shot. His car surfaced after days, and it helped point to the person he met. His body was found in the mountains. That is all the public gets. The rest belongs to the people who loved him, and to a place the wind refused to make gentle. Say Robert Gutierrez. He was 53. He met within a mile of the same home base. His phone stopped answering. His car was found under the wrong roof. His body has never been found. The word missing isn't vague here. It is a verdict that never ends. Think about the third man without making him a lesson. He's 40. He agreed to meet about 4 miles from the same place. He was bound, beaten with a bat, robbed, chased in a car, struck, broken, but alive. In any city, that sequence becomes a siren. In this case, it became a mirror held up to everything that had been hiding in the quiet. The brand of the app doesn't matter as much as the way it was used. The profile photo could have been anything. a gym mirror, a hiking trail, a smile you'd swipe on without a second thought. The opening line could have been a joke or a simple, "Hey." The power is not in the charm, it's in the speed. A hunter doesn't need much time when the platform has taught you to give it away. There's an image that keeps returning at the end of all of this. It isn't the mountains, or the garage, or the hospital hallway where a man stares at a ceiling full of fluorescent rectangles and tries to steady his hands. It's the chat window itself. The last message sits there, here, with a little timestamp that looks so small that you could forget it was ever written. Sometimes the bubbles appear, like someone is about to say something that would fix everything, and then they vanish. In one direction, the phone vibrates in a pocket that no one is wearing anymore. In another, a map opens and a dot begins to move, closing the gap that the word nearby made possible. The app did exactly what it was built to do. It made two people close. But the wrong one was waiting. Number 2. Nelson Mandela Bay. The match ping hits like a little promise. A profile, a joke, your car make. Let's meet by the club. You pull up. A man you didn't chat with taps the window. Your date is still getting ready. It's only 3 minutes to his place. The switch is clean. The door's open. Hands, a gun, your back seat. Your phone vanishes like it was waiting to. The route isn't yours anymore. Seatbelt bites your hip as they shove you sideways. Cold metal at your ribs. A zip tie cinches until your fingers prickle. You smell cologne and cheap spirits. The driver says your name the way it's typed on your screen. No shouting, just work. They've done this before. Police say it isn't a rumor. It's a pattern that went loud in 2023, limped in courts when victims withdrew, and is back on the books. Grindr chat, public meet, the 3-minute detour, 2 more doors, Shotterville, withdrawals, a dump. New entries in July and September. Same route, new nights. The platforms ask for comment. There's no on-record answer before print. Out here, 3 minutes is the only interval that matters. One survivor, a 23-year-old student and e-hailing driver from Walmer, lays it out in the kind of detail your body remembers. An emoji-only profile doesn't trip alarms. 8 p.m., outside a nightclub in Salensville, plenty of eyes and light. A well-dressed stranger taps the glass. You here for Liosio? The name your match just used? He's still getting ready. It's close. 3 minutes. Stop the car. Doors on both sides. Hands on your shoulders. Back seat. A route you didn't choose. Shotterville takes over like muscle memory. Left, right, the alley with the dead camera, the driveway with the dog that never barks. The city folds until it's only the inside of your own car and the smell of duct tape. They work your accounts like a job. You're a task list with a pulse. The ATM face flashes blue. Pin. A shoulder grinds into your ribs. Again. Your balance blinks down like a countdown. The cash tray coughs once, twice. Bills gone before you even see them. A knuckle taps your throat when you try to look up. The street watches and doesn't. They put your phone on speaker and press it to your cheek.
Tell him you're fine.
You do. Your friend hears the tremor anyway.
Say the number.
You do. When the money lands, the call ends mid-syllable. The radio comes up, loud enough to drown the street names. What sticks isn't the gun. It's the line that opened the door.
What car are you driving?
If you map it, the route is built to minimize their risk. A meet point that looks legitimate. A quick handoff to a name you recognize from chat. A short drive into their streets, where the ambush happens fast and away from lenses. Shotterville has alleys they know, ATMs they trust, and no need to risk stolen plates on a long freeway run. The dump is close enough to walk out of, but far enough not to see the withdrawal point. Your first instinct is to get home, not circle back and memorize corners. It doesn't stop with emptied cards. In Johannesburg, the WIT's LGBTQ+ society says another student gets lured by a man using the name Nkothi, or Lil, taken to a field in Jepperstown, strangled, tied, robbed. Their statement turns into a boycott call. Delete the app until real verification and a panic option exist. In the background, a case dubbed the Grindr Gang 7 drags through court. An 18-year-old abducted and extorted in 2023. Different city, same first step. If you can get a person to a curb, you can run the rest of the script anywhere. Nationally, cops warned in 2023 that kidnappers and extortionists were using social apps, dating platforms especially, and the reports kept coming. Crews got faster. Sometimes, hatred rode shotgun with the cash. The app is the canopy. The ambush lives under it. Police in the Bay keep saying the quiet part out loud. Last time, cases died when victims withdrew. That isn't blame. It's the part of the route the crew doesn't control. The courtroom. The men who did this learned what fear, immigration status, and humiliation can do to paperwork. A lot of nights end with a snapped SIM, a clean phone, and silence. That's how a method survives. The survivor drives himself home shaking. He doesn't open a case. He isn't from here, but he's scared of what comes next. He swaps SIMs and locks what he can from memory. It's the most common ending. Alive, bruised, broke, and alone with a night that you will not be able to tell cleanly. Ask why so many go along until it's too late and you run into how these apps work. Near me. Now. A pin. A car park. The platform leaves safe, up to you. Etiquette covers everything sharp. Asking what you drive sounds like logistics. Meeting at the club sounds public. He's getting ready at his place. Sounds like a soft delay. In this story, those lines are uniforms. Reporters asked the platform about these Bay Area ambushers. No on-record answer before print. The city doesn't wait. Mount Road detectives say the files are open again. July, September, and they repeat the route for the cameras. App, meet, assault, forced into your own car, Shotterville, withdrawals, dump. There's a version of this that expands mid-ride. Who else can we call? It's a question that turns your contacts into fishing nets. Your mother's name, your roommate, anyone who will pay to make the voice stop. You speak into your own phone as if it belongs to you. None of this needs a conspiracy with a title. In one place, a crew gets labeled and charged. In another, it's just a tactic that works, copied by whoever needs rent and knows shame is a chain. You won't arrest a method out of existence if it can be learned in a parking lot. You get dumped in a field that isn't far from anything until you try walking. Dirt in your shoes, sand grinding under your heel with every step, zip tie burn on your wrists, the warm print of a hand still tingling on your neck. Your car smells like the men who used it. You sit with the engine off and realize the scariest part is how ordinary this felt until the doors opened. A short ride is long enough for 3 men to rearrange your night. A name appears in a chat only after you say, "I'm here." He's still getting ready. Shotterville is always close. Cops say it again for anyone who didn't hear it the first time. Same script, new victims. There's a sound that ends nights like this. A door shutting with someone else's hand on it. 3 minutes. Shotterville. The thunk of your own car sealing you in. Number 3. Santa Marta, Colombia. A visiting biologist opens a dating app. A profile pops up. You're 300 meters away. He leaves with his phone as a guide. By the weekend, children find a suitcase. Police close a road. A reward goes up. The chat that felt safe, because everyone uses it, becomes the first line of a death. His name is Alessandro Coatti, 42, an Italian molecular biologist who had recently left a post in London to volunteer and travel in South America. He checks into a hostel. He doesn't come back to his bed. On April 6, 2025, a suitcase with body parts is found on the outskirts of Santa Marta. Other remains turn up later. The mayor offers a reward worth roughly $11,000 to $12,000 to catch whoever did it. The city holds its breath. When police walk the case forward, the mechanism is painfully clear. A dating app honey trap sets a meeting. The target is steered to an abandoned house. A robbery is the plan. This time, the victim doesn't survive. Early statements describe an LGBTQ dating app as the lure. Subsequent reporting names Grindr as the line of inquiry. In June, after tips spurned by the reward, authorities announce arrests and point to CCTV and biological traces in a house as key evidence. No mystique, no puzzle, just a profile, a pin, a door. Why this reads like horror without embellishment? The method weaponizes a normal feature. Location-based matching collapses a strange city into a walk. Nearby becomes now. In a place built around tourism, hostels, beach bars, day tours, meet a local is part of the pitch. You don't read 300 meters away as a funnel aimed at a property with no furniture. You don't picture a door that closes behind you as part of a system. In Santa Marta, this spring, that's what it was. The public record gives you hard edges with silence between them. Friends report him missing days after he arrives. He's last seen leaving his hostel. April 6th brings the suitcase. Later recoveries follow. The mayor goes on camera and vows justice. A 50 million peso reward is posted. Identification is confirmed, in part, by a hostel bracelet. Each fact is a beat on a wire. Movement you can't see, an empty bunk, a phone that stops answering, a piece of luggage no one should have to find. At first, there are competing theories. One early angle out of Rome suggests mistaken identity tied to territorial violence. It's part of Colombia's reality. You don't ignore it. But as investigators work, the path narrows. Phone-based contact via a dating app, a vacant address, arrests tied to house traces and cameras. The cartel rumor fades. The honey trap remains. That pivot matters because it points to something portable, a tactic that copies cleanly from city to city. If you followed any of Colombia's headlines, you've seen the pattern elsewhere. Medellin has logged app-arranged robberies and deaths serious enough that the US Embassy warned visitors about dating apps in January 2024. The details vary. The first step doesn't. A profile, a short chat, a reachable address. Santa Marta isn't Medellin, but the entry point travels well. Walk through the Santa Marta choreography. The app makes contact. The distance shrinks, 300 meters, so a meet feels like a favor. The location shifts from a bar to a house. Quieter, easier, more private. From there, the script branches. You wake up without your bag and talk yourself out of filing a report, or you don't wake up at all. In this case, police keep repeating two anchors: an LGBTQ dating app and an abandoned house. You don't need more than that to understand the trap. Then the city moves. Reward, raids, arrests across multiple cities. Police say the cash offer cracks the case. CCTV and a house with blood traces fix the route. Procedure moves. It doesn't revive anyone. But it shows how fast a city tries to stitch its image back together when visitors are watching, and how dependent these cases are on people deciding to talk. Put yourself in the frame they left. A solo traveler at the start of the week. Minka on the list. Coffee tours, bright birds in the hills. A message, 300 meters away. A house that only looks empty when you're close enough to feel the dust under your fingers. No family photos on the wall. A sink with rust freckles. You tell yourself it's nothing because you already decided to be brave tonight. You've already texted home that the city is beautiful. Why do people accept the invite when the address scrapes at the spine? Because the platform normalizes the speed. Millions of harmless meets make "this will be fine" feel like math. In a tourist economy that sells meet locals as part of the package, that's the nudge. On television, lured through an LGBTQ dating app to an abandoned house sounds shocking. In the dark on a weekday, it sounds like nothing at all. Just a pin, a turn, a door. You'll see rumors try to take the wheel. Drugging is mentioned whenever foreigners die after app meetups in Colombia. It does happen, official warnings say so. But here, police center the lure and the house. Leave the rest to the lab. Don't let speculation blur the method that repeats. What's confirmed is ugly enough. Children find the first suitcase. A head, hands, and feet inside. Later, more remains. The mayor sets a dollar figure on outrage. Arrests follow weeks later. Police say out loud that a dating app was the hook, a house was the destination, and tourists are a target class for robbery crews. This time, with a body at the end of the route. That's the blunt shape of a scientist who came to look at birds and ended up a citywide headline. If you want to see how close this sits to ordinary life, look at the calendar stub before it breaks. He asks about Minka. He plans his day. He's not courting danger. He's doing what Santa Marta encourages, to see the waterfalls, walk the hills, to meet people. The same city that sells the day trip creates the night, where nearby is the bait on a hook you can't see. It's tempting to blame the app. The app didn't invent violence. It shaved off the latency between hello and the door. It removed the friction that slowed older worlds down. The bartender who saw who you left with, the friend who knew the address. In a city where tourists are a business model and crews work the edges, missing friction is profit. In Santa Marta, the people who used the profile spent that friction like cash. By June, the brief sounds like this. 4 detained after tips move the investigation. Biological traces in a house. Video that pins the timeline. It isn't closure. It's a junction where grief and paperwork touch. And it's a reminder that the people running honey traps aren't ghosts. They live here, and they rely on silence more than force. The detail that sticks isn't a headline. It's distance. Santa Marta isn't huge. 10 minutes puts you out of the light. A dating app that measures intimacy in meters will tell you a stranger is close, and it will be right. Close is the point. Close is what makes a house with no one living in it look reasonable from 30 steps away. Strip the drama, and a honey trap is 5 parts. A photo good enough to pass. A chat short enough to skip doubt. A pin your brain is trained to obey. A door that closes with a small sound. A room where the rules aren't yours. Police say that's the route here. Press call it a grinder honey trap. Then, the arrests land, and a case moves from rumor to docket numbers. The tool is the same in every city. The ending depends on how fast you recognize the funnel. You'll hear another story about this case. That it could be a cartel message. That the signature of dismemberment points to politics. That might be true somewhere else, some other night. What investigators fix on here is simpler. A lure through an LGBTQ dating app, a vacant property, robbery as motive, murder as outcome. If you want the internet's fingerprint, it's the word nearby. It shrinks a city to a walk. It makes "come to me" sound like help. People who knew Kuwati describe someone warm and serious about the work, equally at home in a lab and ankle deep in a stream. Tributes in London read that way. You don't have to know a man to know a suitcase is the worst way for a city to say his name back to people who loved him.